Imagine a single phone call crippling one of the world's largest transport networks, not by stopping trains, but by silently bleeding it of £39 million. You think this is a scene from a Bruce Willis movie, right? Nope, it's the true story of the cyber attack on Transport for London, a sophisticated intrusion that reveals a terrifying new face of cybercrime, one that's younger, closer to home, and more cunning than you could possibly imagine. In this video, we will be talking about the TfL hack, a case study that every business leader, IT professional, and frankly, every citizen needs to understand. How it happened. On the 31st of August, 2024, amidst the usual hustle and bustle of London's transport system, something was wrong. Deep within the digital heart of Transport for London, anomalous activity began to flicker across the screens of their Security Operations Center. It was subtle, quiet, and deeply insidious. TfL's cybersecurity teams, recognizing the signs of a sophisticated intrusion, acted swiftly. They began locking down systems, pulling digital drawbridges up to protect the city's critical infrastructure. Their immediate priority was clear: keep London moving, and in that, they succeeded. The tubes continued to run, the buses kept to their routes, and the overground trains ferried millions of people across the capital. But while the physical city kept its rhythm, the digital scaffolding that supports it was beginning to crumble. It didn't happen as an attack on the trains. It was an attack on the brain and nervous system of the entire operation. For the next 3 months, significant parts of TfL's digital infrastructure were paralyzed. Think about what that means in practice. The digital information boards you glance at for train times, blank. The online portal you use to top up your Oyster card or buy a travel card, inoperable. Even the traffic cameras that monitor the city's arteries and the dial-a-ride booking systems, a vital service for the elderly and those with mobility issues, were knocked offline. TfL was thrown back in time, forced to rely on manual processes and workarounds in an age of digital dependency. The losses, the financial cost of this paralysis was staggering. The final bill came to an estimated £39 million. It's crucial to understand where this number comes from. It wasn't a ransom payment. The attackers didn't lock up the system and demand cash to release it. This £39 million represents the colossal cost of response, remediation, and recovery. It's the price of emergency consultants, of staff working around the clock, of rebuilding compromised systems from the ground up, and of lost productivity and revenue over 3 long months. It is a testament to the immense hidden cost of a cyber attack that goes far beyond any initial ransom demand. But the damage wasn't just financial. The attackers had penetrated deep enough to access sensitive data. TfL had to contact over 5,000 customers whose names and contact details had been compromised. Court documents would later suggest that even more sensitive information, like Oyster card refund data and potentially even bank details, may have been accessed. In the world of cybercrime, personal data is currency, and a breach of this scale creates a ripple effect of potential fraud and identity theft for years to come. Perhaps the most profound and overlooked consequence, however, was the human cost. To protect its network from further damage, TfL had no choice but to restrict access to its internal platforms, including the crucial licensing system for the city's taxi and private hire drivers. For the men and women who make their living driving Londoners around, this was a catastrophe. Applications for new licenses and renewals were delayed, not for days, but for weeks and months. A direct threat to their ability to work. It was, as the report states, a loss of livelihood. This single detail illustrates a vital lesson. A cyber attack on a major organization is never just an attack on a faceless corporation. It's an attack on its employees, its customers, and the entire ecosystem of people who depend on it. So, who was behind this serious, extensive, sustained, and highly sophisticated attack? The investigation, a joint effort between the National Crime Agency and the City of London Police, took over a year. Finally, on September 16, 2025, the authorities made their move. In coordinated raids, they arrested two individuals, 19-year-old Talha Jubair in East London and 18-year-old Owen Flowers in Walsall in the West Midlands. When they appeared at Westminster Magistrates' Court, the image was almost surreal. These were not hardened criminals from a spy thriller. They were teenagers. Flowers was wearing a gray hoodie with the slogan, "Off the Grid." Jubair sat silently beside him, but the charges laid against them painted a picture of a global criminal enterprise operating from suburban bedrooms. Both were charged under the Computer Misuse Act with conspiring to carry out the attack on Transport for London. But the story didn't end there. Owen Flowers, the 18-year-old, faced additional shocking charges. He had already been arrested once before, on the 6th of September 2024, shortly after the TfL attack began. But while on bail, prosecutors alleged he simply continued his criminal activities. He was accused of conspiring to infiltrate and damage the networks of two major American healthcare companies, SSM Healthcare Corporation and Sutter Health. Let that sink in. A teenager from the West Midlands was allegedly a key player in attacks against critical healthcare infrastructure on the other side of the world. Talha Jubair, the 19-year-old, faced a different but equally revealing charge. Alongside his conspiracy charge, he was prosecuted under the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act, or RIPA. The reason? He refused to disclose the pins or passwords for the electronic devices that police had seized from him. This might seem like a minor detail, but it's a critical move in the high-stakes chess game between cybercriminals and law enforcement. The RIPA charge is a legal tool designed to overcome the barrier of encryption. Investigators were so certain that crucial evidence was locked away on his devices that they were willing to prosecute him on a separate, serious charge, just for his refusal to grant access. It highlights the central role that encryption plays in modern crime and the legal challenges it presents. These two teenagers, however, were not believed to be acting alone. The National Crime Agency stated that the attack bore all the hallmarks of a notorious and prolific cybercrime collective, a group known by many names: Octo Tempest, Muddled Libra, UNC 3944, and, most famously, Scattered Spider. What then are the broader implications of this case? What does the attack on Transport for London teach us? First, it is a deafening alarm bell for the security of our critical national infrastructure, or CNI. While TfL should be commended for ensuring its safety-critical systems remained operational, the incident proves that a determined attacker can still inflict catastrophic financial and operational damage by targeting the softer, administrative side of the organization. It highlights the fundamental truth that in our interconnected world, the line between administrative systems and operational systems is dangerously thin. An attack that starts with a tricked employee can have very real-world consequences, as the London cab drivers who lost their livelihoods can attest. Second, this case provides irrefutable proof of a paradigm shift in the geography of cybercrime. For decades, the dominant narrative has centered on threats emanating from Eastern Europe or nation-states. Scattered Spider represents the rise of a potent, homegrown threat. The fact that teenagers from London and Walsall can allegedly participate in and even lead attacks on global corporations and critical infrastructure forces a complete reevaluation of our national security priorities. We must now look inward and understand the social and economic factors that are driving bright, technically skilled young people in our own communities towards high-stakes cybercrime. This brings us to the most important question of all. What can be done? How can organizations protect themselves from a threat as pervasive, human-centric, and sophisticated as Scattered Spider? The answer lies in recognizing that traditional cybersecurity, focused solely on building higher technical walls, is no longer enough. We must adopt a multi-layered, human-centric defense strategy. The tactics used in the TFL hack provide a clear roadmap of what we need to defend against. Let's start with their social engineering and MFA fatigue attacks. The solution here is to move towards phishing-resistant multi-factor authentication. This means using methods that can't be tricked by a simple phone call or a fake website. Technologies like FIDO2 security keys, which require a physical token to be present, or robust biometric verification, create a barrier that is almost impossible for a remote attacker to bypass, no matter how many push notifications they send. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, we must address the weakest link and our greatest potential strength, the human element. Scattered Spider's entire business model is built on the assumption that they can trick an employee. Our defense must be built on making that assumption false. This requires more than a once-a-year boring cybersecurity presentation. It requires continuous, dynamic, and engaging employee education. Staff need to be trained to recognize the subtle signs of a social engineering attempt. They need to be empowered to question suspicious requests, even if they appear to come from a senior executive or the IT help desk. Regular, controlled tests, like ethical phishing campaigns and even simulated social engineering phone calls, can build a culture of healthy skepticism and turn your employees from potential victims into a vigilant human firewall. The attack on Transport for London is a cautionary tale written in the stark language of financial loss and operational chaos. It demonstrates that in today's threat landscape, your security is not just about your firewalls and your antivirus software. It's about your people, your processes, and your resilience. The perpetrators are not distant, shadowy figures. They could be operating from the next town over. Their methods are not complex exploits. They are sophisticated manipulations of human trust. This is the reality of modern cybersecurity. It's complex, it's constantly evolving, and the stakes have never been higher. At T-Laris, we understand this new reality because we live and breathe it every day. We provide AI-powered strategic defense tailored to the specific TTPs of groups like Scattered Spider. We see that they exploit MFA fatigue, so we help organizations implement truly phishing-resistant authentication that stops attackers in their tracks. We know they rely on social engineering, which is why our comprehensive training programs and security awareness platforms are designed to equip your employees with the skills and instincts to spot and report threats. Send us a request at tlaris.com to see how this works. And also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel if you learned one or two.